Tech time. What's up, everyone? Back again with another video. Okay, I've been using the Pixel 4a 5G for over a month now, and here's my experience. Alright, so before I dive into how beast of a phone this has been, I will admit I did have the Pixel 5, but pretty much returned it the next day. Now, I know what you're thinking. Dude, that's not nearly enough time to judge a phone, but this is the thing. I'm a tech reviewer, so I pretty much know just off the few minutes to a couple hours of playing with a device or phones in general, if I'm going to like it or not. And this is from years of Samsung, iPhone, LG, you name it. I pretty much know if I'm going to like the phone. Now, is that for every phone? No, because I will admit the Galaxy S10e did grow on me and it was a fantastic phone, but $700 for the Pixel 5. Now, yes, cheaper than previous Pixel lineup flagship phones, but that's the key term, flagship. It had too many missing things for it to be called a flagship, and I appreciate Google's approach and what they've done, making a more affordable devices. Now, number one, the same processor found in this phone is found in the Pixel 5. Now, see, I could justify spending $500 on this phone, but I can't justify spending $700 for the same processor that's classified as a mid-range processor. Now, we'll dive into what I think about the processor later, but no, $700, in my opinion, still a little overpriced. Number two, the Pixel 4a and 4a 5G both have physical earpiece speakers, and the Pixel 5 has some kind of like ultrasonic thing where it's basically allowing Google to do full screen, so even thinner bezels than this, which even if the Pixel 5 had the same kind of bezel that this bezel and the Pixel 4a bezel has, that would have still been fine because it's just slightly thinner. So the Pixel 5 uses a technology that like the phone glass vibrates sound, and that's a cool concept. That's like technology advancing, but at the same time, it's not loud enough, and the speakers kind of sound a little tinty, distorted. Whereas the 4a 5G, you're getting basically a phone for $200 cheaper. Now, you're not getting a higher refresh rate. That's the trade-off. But you're getting a cheaper phone with a better speaker than a flagship. See, you see what I'm saying? Too many missing features. Now, some people, you guys might disagree, but until you get the 4a with 5G, you're going to realize that, man, why would I spend extra money when this right here is possibly Google's best phone of the 4a 5 lineup? So back to the term flagship. Now, when you have a flagship device, it's supposed to have the latest and greatest. I don't care what nobody says. Flagship is supposed to have the latest and greatest. Snapdragon 865 Plus for 2020. That's the chip that came out. The Pixel 5 should have had that. Now, if the Pixel 5 had the Snapdragon 865 Plus, $700, you get 120 gigabytes, 90 hertz refresh rate, and a up-to-date processor, the latest and greatest, rivaling the iPhones. I would have said $700. It's a deal. It's a steal. That's Google's best phone of the year. But get the speaker quality. It's got flagship stuff. Maybe, not all phones are perfect. Some current phones are missing things that's a flagship, but that was just the icing on the cake. You don't put the latest and greatest processor in there. I don't care if this is a efficient chip. You know what I'm saying? Like, flagship, that's a strong word to say. Pixel 5, in my opinion, is not a flagship. It's just like, it's like the 4a series. So anyway, based off everything I just said, can I confirm that $500 for this phone is worth it? And I say yes. I say it's a pretty sweet deal. It checks all the boxes. Now, could this phone be a little bit faster? In terms of that, I mean Snapdragon 765G. Could that processor be a little bit faster? Yes, it's called a mid-range processor. Me coming from the latest and greatest iPhones, iPhone 11 Pro, Apple superior processors, I do notice a little bit of lag. But I tell you what, it's not enough lag to make you want to throw your phone at the wall. No, not at all. I was actually surprised. I was wrong about the Snapdragon 765G chip. It's actually been a pretty good chip. But like I said, I do notice a little bit of lag. Would I want to be faster? Yes. I'm a spec hungry guy. So I guess I can say I've been pretty comfortable using this phone. And I think really in particular why I think the Snapdragon 765G chip runs really good on this phone and even the Pixel 5 is because it's stock Android, whereas Samsung phones, LG phones, OnePlus, they all have some sort of skin over it. Now, I get it. when you have a product, you want to make it like your own. So I understand where those companies are coming from. They want to put their own they want to use Android, but they want to put their own little taste to it, because it's their product. And I understand that. But see, those skins, those overlays can slow the phone down. It might be a little bit more for the processor to handle and drain the battery life. But see, by this being stock Android, the Pixel 4a and 4a 5G, Snapdragon 765G runs pretty good. I will say that. Now, I personally do like it when there's more options available. Like, I don't know. I have like a love and hate kind of relationship with Samsung One UI. Sometimes I love it. Sometimes I hate it. But just having complete stock Android the whole time does get boring. And I'm not supporting Android. The point of Android is to customize your phone to your liking. So you can go in the App Store, download a launcher. But I'm too lazy to do that. I just feel like the phone should come with that already. Those like different kind of themes and stuff like that. Otherwise, it's like, why download an app or something like that can potentially drain the battery even more. So I do believe the Snapdragon 765G chip runs good on the Pixel 4a 5G, and the Pixel 5 is because it's pure Android, no skins attached. But speaking of battery, I've literally ended the day pretty much every day over 50% of battery life with this phone, which I think is amazing. So before this phone, I had the Galaxy S20 FE, and we'll get into that. I said in that video that that's the best battery on a phone that I've used, and that could still be true, but I could barely tell the difference, to be honest. And before that, even right now, I use the iPhone 11 Pro, and it's not the Pro Max. So yeah, the battery is significantly smaller on iPhones. iPhones are known to have really good standby time, really good battery life on iPhones, even with small batteries. So me comparing this to my iPhone 11 Pro, since this has a bigger battery, technically isn't fair, but it's what to be expected with iPhones with lower battery, with smaller batteries, that they're going to last you all day. And the iPhone does last me all day, but I don't think it lasts as much as this phone does. Definitely doesn't. I don't know. I get at least 15% more battery life on the Pixel 4a 5G than I do on my iPhone 11 Pro. Now, yes, like I just said, not the Max. The Max, I'm pretty sure, crushes this phone since it's close to 4,000 milliamp hours, if I'm not mistaken. But I say, if you're not trying to spend a ton of money on a phone, you want a phone with great battery life, a pure Android phone, great camera, $500. That's a pretty good deal. That's a steal for this phone. I'm not BSing you. Now, the display is good. Is it the best display that I've had on a phone? No, it's not. My main gripe with these smartphone companies now is they seem to be taking a step down from QHD and going back to 1080p. And I get it. It might help the battery life a little bit, but you're not supposed, in my opinion, you're not supposed to take steps backwards. Like, it depends. Like the fingerprint reader, like, okay, Google ditched the Soli radar chip, but that was just an epic fail in general. So I understand they had to take a step backwards and putting that on the back. And the fingerprint reader on the back built in actually was good for 2020, because we all know that we all had to wear masks and stuff like that. So it was very convenient. So I understand that, but taking a step down from QHD back to full HD, I don't know. I just feel like you shouldn't do that. I personally, I'm a spec hungry guy. I want it to be as crisp as possible. So, it's a message to all smartphone companies. Keep the QHD. Don't lower it back to 1080p. And eventually maybe even go to 4K. But hey, up until September of last year, Apple's been putting 720p, 800p displays on smartphones for years, and people didn't seem to complain. So, by me saying that, does QHD matter to everybody in the world? Absolutely not. But when you're a person that looks at various smartphone displays, you're going to notice some sort of difference. Now, one thing I will say about the displays, and this isn't to throw a jab at Google whatsoever, but I do have to throw this out because I saw this on the Pixel 5 as well when I took it out of the box. Even the Pixel 4a. Whoever Google has cuts the displays, whatever manufacturer cuts the displays, I noticed that at the top of the display, when you take it out the box, that the OLED cut. Now, I never really paid attention to any other phone. Like the iPhone comes out. When I took it out of the box, the iPhone just looks perfect because of Apple's quality control. Now, with the Pixel 4a, 5G, 4a, and Pixel 5, I noticed at the top of the cutout, I noticed that the edges looked a little jagged, but once you finally set the phone up and all that, it kind of seems to smooth out. I don't know if that's the pixels just smoothing out or something like that, but I did notice that. I'm like, wow, this looks kind of janky. The cut's kind of janky. Now, I don't know if that's just because of cost reasons. Maybe they know about that on purpose and probably figure the average person isn't going to look at the display like that at the corner or something like that. But I don't know, it just stuck out to me. So like I said, it wasn't a throw a jab at Google or nothing like that. I just noticed that, and I'm curious if maybe some of you might have noticed that as well. Another thing with the display is I'm not sure why Google doesn't make their displays as bright as iPhone and Samsung panels. It gets bright, it just doesn't get as bright as those two. And I know everybody complains about that every year, how the brightness on the Pixel phone needs to be better or higher. But overall, the display is good. It's definitely better than the first batches of the Pixel 2 XL. How many of y'all remember that? Raise your hand. And one thing I really appreciate about a phone's display is color accuracy. And with the Pixel phones, ever since the Pixel 2 XL, because that's when they started doing it, Pixel 2 XL was lacking in reds and all this and that, but they stated that they did that on purpose to create a more natural image, which I'm pretty sure they looked at the iPhone display and was like, oh, well, we don't like, this looks good, basically. And because I hated the oversaturated displays on the Galaxy S7, S8. I hated that. But I do appreciate Google's color accuracy, and they give you 3 color modes. They give you adaptive, boosted, and natural. And even on boosted and adaptive mode, the colors still don't look oversaturated. So that's a plus in my book. And as I mentioned earlier, the speaker quality of the Pixel 4a 5G is much more superior than the Pixel 5 in my opinion. And if you don't agree with that, then you need to go back and do a test. So another feature that this phone offers is a headphone jack. And isn't it crazy to think that if your phone contains a headphone jack, it's basically considered less premium than a phone without a headphone jack? Have I used this headphone jack? Once. I did. I actually watched a video using it, and it was convenient. Do I use headphones with the headphone jack besides my computer a lot? No. Typically pop in the Bluetooth headphone, and that's just more convenient for me, but it's still nice to have and nice to see a headphone jack. So yes, I stated that I was surprised by the Snapdragon 765G chip found in this phone, and doing everything, web browsing, gaming, emails, texting, scrolling through the home screen, you name it. Everything has been snappy. Like I said, I've noticed a little bit of lag, but that's because I'm coming from the iPhone 11 Pro, a phone that's much more snappier, processor is just much more superior. But in real world use, let's just take the iPhone out the equation. If this is my only phone, I just picked this phone up, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't notice the difference coming from another phone. So yes, would I have liked the phone to be faster up there with the iPhone 11 Pro, iPhone 12? Of course I would have. But for $500, something has to compromise. And like I said, I was impressed. So Google knows what they're doing. So I guarantee you about 95% of the people are going to be satisfied with this phone. And another thing too about the processor is, let's say like gaming performance and the GPU. I pretty much been playing Stadia. Awesome. By the way, Google, appreciate you with the updates and updating the library and all this. Now, I've pretty much been playing Stadia, so that's streaming. I don't need to use a high-end processor or a high-end GPU on the phone to stream high-quality graphic games, which that's the future of gaming. And I feel like that's awesome. So to me, playing console-like games on this phone that has a mid-range processor has just been fantastic to me. Okay, so I'll be honest. I have not used the camera that much, and I never really use the camera a lot unless I'm doing camera comparisons. That's when I really start taking photos. But regardless of me not using the camera or using the camera, but I still expect the phone that I'm carrying to have a fantastic camera. And that's what Google's been doing over the years. They've been providing fantastic images. Now the video quality has been okay, and it actually improved, and they added 4K 60 frames per second, which we'll talk about in a minute. But image quality, yes, they're still using the same sensor. They actually added a wide angle lens, which they better have added a wide angle lens with phones coming with 3 lenses, so this was just the bare minimum for them. But still, they're using the same sensor, but the processing is really good, so you still get some crisp images. Now, is it faster than the Pixel 4 and Pixel 4 XL in taking pictures? No, because the Snapdragon 765 versus the Snapdragon 855, a more powerful chip, but it's not too far behind. So let's look at a couple samples of the photos of the Pixel 4a 5G. all right, this is the Pixel 4a 5G, 4K 60 frames per second. Now, I'm not, in a ton of light. I'm just using artificial lights that I got in the studio, not outside. And right now it's dark outside anyway. But yeah, if I was outside, I'm pretty sure it'd turn out better. But, a camera should adapt to your light sources. So we're going to see how this look when I flip it around. All right, here's the verdict. So for $500, the Pixel 4a 5G is a great choice phone. If you're looking for an Android phone and don't want to spend $800 to $1,000 on a phone, you're getting a bigger display over the Pixel 4a and Pixel 5 if a bigger display is what you want. So yes, I say if you can go without a faster refresh rate, wireless charging, and a slightly bigger battery, there's really no reason to pick the Pixel 5 over the Pixel 4a 5G. But I'm curious to know what you think, so put it in the comments. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell so you get notified when I upload. As always, salute to the flag. It's full of love with tech. And I'm going to catch you on the next one. Peace.